Hi guys, and welcome back to part 2 of the transition event recording. In this section, I'm going to talk to you about goal setting and just why it is so vitally important that you have goals and a method of tracking them and achieving them. And in the next section, I will go quite deep how you're going to set your goals up and how you're going to track them. But for now, I'm going to use my goal, because I think that will help you to understand the whole process. Now, this is something that I'm actually going through right now, and I've set my goal for 2019. And my goal, as you can see on the screen, is to recruit an additional 11 franchisees. Okay, so that's almost one a month. 22 additional trainees. So that's 2 per month. And 3 additional employees. Now, I know this is really not about employees, and I may touch on this a bit later, but this is something I believe has got massive potential. And of course, it's not new to us. We've already had 3 employees now for a little while. But the main focus of this, because most of you are not in that space, in fact, I don't think any of you are. So when you weigh this up, for me to actually attract basically a new franchisee every month for the entire year, and to attract 2 trainees every month for the rest of the year, that is quite a ballsy goal. But as you will see when I go through this, this is not pure conjecture. I've not plucked these figures out of the air. I'm relatively confident that I can achieve this on the back of historic data and exactly what's happened in 2018. Because of course the process to do this started in January 2018, not now. Now we're reaping the rewards for what was done last year, and we now need to push on and enhance that even further during 2019. So hopefully I'll be able to make that perfectly clear. But I think if you understand what my goal is and you understand what I'm actually doing to try and achieve that, that will make things far easier when you come to do your own. Okay, so that was my goal for 2019. My long-term goal for the next 3 to 4 years, and the thing to understand is when you do long-term goals, I'm relatively confident as to what might happen this year. But when you start going 2, 3, 4 years out, which is traditional in any business, it gets a bit sketchy. Yes, you do need to have some realistic take on your numbers. It's no good me saying that, I'll be making £1 million in 4 years, because clearly I'm not. I don't have a system that would come anywhere close to that. So you do need to, although the numbers are not going to be purely accurate, and as I say, it will be conjecture and simply forecasting and guessing in some cases. But nevertheless, if you work this through, you can actually see what's achievable. So my goal for the next 3 to 4 years is that I will grow my own driving school here to over 100 franchisees stroke employees. The thing to understand with employees is that an employee is worth in profit about 3 times the amount of a franchisee. So, I could achieve the same outcome with less franchisees if I have more employees, but I don't really want to get too much into the employee thing. So let's just keep it simple, 100 franchisees. If I achieve that, then that's going to start bringing me in a monthly residual income somewhere in the region of 25,000 a month. And when you actually think about that, that is a lot of money coming in every single month. And you can do all sorts of wonderful things with it, as I'll come on to. And of course, one of the reasons I'm doing this is not simply to try and generate that type of money. Is that you well know by now, both my sons work with me at the driving school, Lee and Andy. Lee is obviously my head of training. He runs my entire training system. And Andy, as you probably know better, he's in the office and he takes care of all of our managed services, support and day-to-day, looking after members basically. So the plan is, of course, in 3 or 4 years' time, is that I would very much like both of them to become directors of the company. And then that would give me a chance to step back. And it, of course, gives them a massive incentive. They're not just simply doing a job. They've got some direction to go forward in the next few years. To be running a company with over 100 franchisees would almost certainly mean that we would need to leave our office here, which is attached to our house. And although the office is actually quite large and it serves absolutely fine, we would be needing extra staff to take calls, and therefore we would be needing extra space. So I can already see in my mind, some nice offices on a retail park somewhere in our hometown of Bridgewater. Big old banner sitting up above the door, Kelvin White, Past Masters, driving school, all that type of stuff. I can actually see that in my vision. And of course, if we achieve that, then both myself and Sandra, as you know, also works in the business. That gives us the opportunity to make an exit and let the boys carry on running the company. So that's my vision that I've shared with you for the next 3 to 4 years. But more importantly, as to what we're going to be doing this year, because what you'll find when we go through this now is that, yes, you do need a long-term goal, and that, of course, will be different for all of you. But you most definitely need then to track that back, because, 100 franchisees is actually a lot. And you think, oh my God, how the hell am I going to get that? But when you actually start to come back 4 years, 3 years, 2 years, 1 year, and then you look at the 1 year picture. Now, to achieve 100 franchisees, that's not that's the goal. But the numbers that I'm focusing on right now is 11, which is a lot more manageable. And obviously you can see that quite clearly. Now that still may be a big number for you guys for the position you're in, but it's all in context. When I focus on recruiting an additional 11, that's far more achievable than looking at 100. Now, when you make a goal, what makes a goal really powerful is one that you really do need, you have to have a desire to actually achieve that outcome, because it will be a rocky road and there will be ups and downs and you'll be tested to the limit, that's for sure. So you really do need a burning desire to achieve whatever goal it is that you set out. The next thing comes accountability, because when you make your goal public, that can be quite a scary step to make. Now, in my own case, funny enough, the hardest thing, I've made it public now, I made it public to all 16 of our members that were current in the room on the day. So that means that in a month, 2 months, 3 months, 4 months, 6 months, some of them are going to be coming back to me and saying, well, how's it going then? You had this grand goal. Have you failed or are you on track? And it does drive you on a little bit when you've got that accountability. Now, I also belong to a mastermind group in Bristol, and we meet once a month. I've been in it now for, about 7 or 8 years. And how mastermind groups work is all about accountability. And again, I've shared my goal with these guys, and every month when I turned up, and they're nothing to do with the driving school industry, by the way. They all run, successful businesses in other areas. And when I set the goal, they're going to be, the first questions they're going to be asking me is, well, how's it going? Are you on target? If so, great, pat on the back. If you've exceeded the goal, fantastic. If you're lagging behind, they will then, that's the whole point of a mastermind. They will then all assist me to get back on track. Where have I come off? What's not happening? What needs to be done? What needs to happen? And that's where I get my help from. And obviously that's where we are. We're in a position to help you guys reach your goals. But the hardest thing of all was actually sharing this goal with my own family. Now, as you well know, my family, we are a family business. So Sandra, Andy, customer services, Lee is my trainer. I sat them down, we had a meeting. I'm almost ashamed that it is the first proper business meeting we've ever had, which can be a little bit different with family. So I sat them down and I explained to them our 4-year goal is exactly that. So we're going to, make 2 of you directors. We're going to have external offices. We're going to have 100 franchisees, and both myself and Sandra are going to exit. And the reaction I got from them was this, because again, like many business owners, they, when you set these goals, and you'll almost be inclined to laugh yourself that you're having a laugh, you're joking. But you see, that's because they're focused on what might happen in 4 years' time. And the whole point of goals is that is the vision, but that is not how it works. You then need to go 4 years, 3 years, 2 years, 1 year. And then that 1 year is divided by 12 months. And then that 1 month is divided by 4 weeks. And then that 4 weeks is divided by 1 week and then 1 day. So, it's what you do on a day-to-day basis to keep on course to achieve your goal for 12 months, or 4 years. So after I explained that to them, they sort of stopped laughing a little bit. Not a lot. So, as I've said, you have that massive goal, but it all starts with, in my case, attracting 2 new trainees a month. Now, if I can do that, the likelihood is, if I do that consistently over a period of time, I will hit that goal. And I'll give you a scenario that I've used many, many times, and it is absolutely crystal clear, is running a marathon. Now, way back, seems a long time ago now, but back in 2009, I decided that I would run a marathon. And at the time I was running, I've run for 40 years, it's not new to me, but I was running about 5 miles a day, which is, a pretty good foundation. But there's a hell of a lot of difference between 5 miles a day and running 26 miles, okay? So I set a target of 7 months. And when I was out running those first few days and running 5 miles, and, by the time I got back, I'd probably had enough. And I'm thinking, how the hell am I going to run 26 miles from where I am right now? But of course, I'm not running it now. I'm running it in 7 months' time. So you set that target. And then what you do then is you then divide that 7 months up by 7. So now we're looking at, what do I need to do in 1 month? Where do I need to be? And then you bring that back to literally weeks, and you bring it back to days. So now instead of looking at 7 months, you're looking at, well, if I increase my daily running by just a tiny fraction from 5 miles, and if I do that consistently every single day, then I will be ready for that 26 miles. I have to be, because that's the way it works. So that's the plan, and that's what I'm going to discuss with you as we go forward now, that you need to plan out. Any type of goal can be achieved as long as you have a strategic plan, and it's on a daily basis with little tiny steps that you're going to meet that goal. The other thing you need to do, as I've already discussed, is you need to make it public, and you need to have a desire to actually achieve that. So what I did in the case of the marathon, instead of running it locally, I looked at the marathons that were available around about that timescale. So in 7 months was the Barcelona Marathon. So the first thing I did is I booked it. I booked a hotel in Barcelona that would be pretty central to the marathon. And I told Mrs. White, look, it was the 1st of March 2009, I'm taking you to Barcelona for 3 days. The reason I'm going there is because I'm going to run a marathon. And but as far as you're concerned, we're going to have 3 days in Barcelona. Now, once I've told her that, she's ready to go. And I booked the flights, by the way. So I booked the hotel, I booked the flights, and I told her. Now, once you do that, it'd be very difficult for me to then tell her you're not having these 3 days away now. And I specifically booked the hotel without a cancellation policy. So if I cancelled, I'd lose the money. I did that on purpose. And then I set about achieving that goal. And, the next day I went out. But now when I'm running that 5 miles or that 6 miles as I was gradually increasing, all the time I had this big picture. I could actually see myself at Bristol Airport boarding the plane. I could see myself flying out to Barcelona. I could see myself on the starting line with like 10,000 other people thinking, here we go, I've got 26 miles in front of me, but I know I can do it because I've been doing it in training. And we're going to spend a couple of days in the sunshine and, eat well and all the rest of it, because basically I'll be living on porridge most of the time. And I did it, and I did the training. And was it all pure? It was a rocky road. There were times I really didn't feel like running in the morning, and other times I was pumped up and ready to go. So it is a rocky journey, but nevertheless, you don't have to be on course completely. You can waver a little bit. And sure enough, come the day, we flew out to Barcelona. I found myself on the start line. I have to say the last 4 miles was extremely tough. But the feeling of elation when you cross that finish line, and in this case it was a marathon, but it could have been any of your business goals. It could be the same with me hitting my 100 franchisees, or the day we get the keys to our new offices on the retail park with my big sign up above, and whatever it is, whatever floats your boat really. But that's sort of what we're going to look into, and hopefully that's done a reasonable job of trying to make, add some clarity to that as to the way forward. Okay, so how am I going to achieve this goal? I've already told you what the goal is. Now I need a method in place and a plan, a bit like the marathon. How am I actually going to achieve this goal? So what I'm going to need is, one, I'm going to need a predictable selling system to recruit trainees. Now I've already sort of covered that in part one as to what that system is. Number two, I'm going to need predictable selling systems to keep my new franchisees busy, because if I don't, then they're going to leave. So the two go hand in hand. So initially you need to focus on recruiting your trainees, and then you're going to have anywhere between 3, 4, 6, 8 months. I think probably 8 months is average or something for them to qualify. So you've got a little bit of time to think. But what you really need is, the moment they're qualified, you need systems in place that you can simply switch on very quickly, that's going to be reliable, and it's going to bring them in the work that they need. And then, of course, once they have the work that they need, then you can turn it off. That's the way it works. Number three, you're going to need a financial budget and forecast planner to actually see the vision. Now, again, actually, when I asked in the room, out of the 16 people, not one single one had a financial budget and forecast planner and able to see the vision. And I'll cover that a little later. But that is extremely powerful. I do mine every single week, and at the end of, on the first of each month, because without that, I have no idea what money's coming in, what money's going out. And although you guys may be able to sort of get around that right now, once you start to scale, you will really struggle with this. So you definitely need a budget and forecast planner. And of course, all businesses that are scaling have them, and I'll explain in more detail. And fourth, you need a desire to make it happen. Now, we've sort of covered that already, but that is so important, because the moment things get a bit rocky, and the moment things look like they're coming off track, it will be so easy for you to throw in the towel, believe me. But you need a desire. So a bit like the Barcelona Marathon, a bit like the 100 franchisees, the big offices and all that. That is my desire. What is yours? And we'll have a look at that. Okay, so once you've got this goal set, you need then to be focused. And this is a really interesting thing, because once you find that you've set your goal, and you've then put the numbers in place that you can track that goal and see what you need to be doing on a daily basis, you will actually find yourself thinking about this predominantly for most of your day. Now, of course, when you're out teaching, I would like to think you're going to focus on your customers. But you'll probably find during, when you're going to bed or when you got downtime, this will start to occupy a lot of your mind. And that is massively powerful. And those of you that have been to events in the past, I think a couple of years ago, I produced a book called Think and Grow Rich. That is, by the way, the best-selling business book of all time. It is a very deep book and very complicated, and it takes a bit of time to get your head around it. But primarily, its focus is all about if you think something and you have a plan to make it happen, the more likely is it will happen. So, I've already explained to you with the marathon, I could see myself, on them really cold winter mornings when I'm doing my daily run, all the time I could see myself in the warmth of Barcelona on that start line. I had to think that, and I had to see myself in that position. I can see me racking up in the car, pulling onto the car park in my new offices, big old sign up above, opening the door and going. I can actually see that vision. So that's what's going to drive me on. But you need to be constantly thinking about it and reminded of it, because there will be tests coming your way on a daily basis. Now you can see here, this is my office. Here's the Mac. right in front of me, and I spend most of my days looking at this thing, and right above it, you can't see the detail, but it shows where I am right now, and then it shows where I wish to be. So I'm constantly reminded every time I sit down of my focus. Here on the left, it goes into a little bit more detail. It shows me what I need to achieve this year, the numbers, there are all the months, what I need to do in the quarter, what I need to do in the month itself. So again, I need to be reminded of all those figures so they're constantly in my mind all the time. Okay, so hopefully that sort of makes sense. Now, this is the wheel planner, the 8-spoke wheel. And again, I haven't put this together. I was given this. I belong to several different business clubs, and this is something that they swear by. So again, just to go through this. So number one, know where I am. Well, we've sort of covered that one off when we did the flippy board and found out what the current situation is with everyone. Number two, get clear on where you want to be. So set your goals and make sure that they are big goals that you really, really want, but be absolutely clear on them. What we actually did, we had a 15-minute spell of basically a bit of quiet time where everyone sat down, and it was quite refreshing to see everyone scribbling away and for 15 minutes and setting these clear goals. Number three, how to get there. So this is your plan. Without a plan, then there's no point having a goal because you're never going to achieve it. So what to do and how to do it. So once you've got a plan, you know, what are you going to be doing on a daily basis? Obviously, it's going to revolve back to having a predictable selling system and how that's going to work and how you're going to put that together. And make sure it happens. This is where you stay accountable. And again, we've sort of covered that. This is where you tell your family, your friends, your work colleagues, or tell me or tell anybody else. But the more people you tell, the more difficult it will be for you to backtrack on it. Because you'll feel like you failed. And that's the whole point. That is why it's so powerful. If you don't share it with anyone, it will be very easy for you to throw in the towel. And number six, help along the way. Well, in my own case, I belong, as I've already said, I'm in a mastermind group. I also subscribe to several business clubs. I spend a hell of a lot of money on investment in myself for training. As far as you guys are concerned, I don't know what you do along those lines, but of course you're members of ADI Business Success, and of course in here I'm able to share with you the step-by-step process that I do, and that's what I'm sharing with you right now. So you do have help. We're here to help you along that journey. And number seven, know it's working. How you're going to know it's working is by having your forecast and budget sheets. Because if you don't, it'll be very vague and it'll be very sketchy. So having those planners in place, and I'm going to give you a copy of it if you wish, to keep you on track, and then you can see your growth. And number eight, reap the rewards. Now, this may be something you do on a monthly basis. So at the end of each month, if you've achieved your targets, go out and have a nice meal somewhere and a glass of wine and celebrate. If you then hit your quarterly rocks, which is your 3-month evaluation, do the same thing again. Mrs. White loves it if I hit my rocks because then she's going to get some benefit from that. And then, of course, at the end of the year, that's the time when most businesses have a really good evaluation. And did I achieve my goals? Did I exceed them? If not, why not? And recalculate your goals for the next year, which, of course, is the next step in the big plan. So hopefully that's useful. Again, I can send you a copy of this, or I can put it in the membership site. I've got one of these pinned on my wall, and I live and breathe it because I know that this 8-spoke wheel is going to get me where I want to be. Okay, so let's just dive in a little bit then. So we're now currently at the time of this 18 days. I produced this obviously a few days before the presentation. So this is what happened. I'm just trying to give you an insight as to what happened in my own business in the first 18 days of 2019 as I'm on this road now to try and achieve these 100 franchisees, or perhaps more importantly 11 for the first year. So those of you guys that use our managed service for your PDI recruitment, I've been saying to you during December, it would be a very wise decision to raise your budget as much as you feel you can afford, because January traditionally is a very, very good time, because a lot of people are quite discontent in January and we tend to get more interest. I put my budget up from £5 a day to £50 a day. Now, if I sort of said that to you, you know, and I did in the room, most people have a cold sweat, shiver running down their back. Jesus Christ, £50 a day, you must be joking. Well, I'll explain what happened. So I did that, £50 a day. I run the campaign for 9 days only. And the reason I only run it for 9 days is because that is the capacity that we had. So, of course, in my case, Lee is my trainer. We had the conversation during our meeting that I've referred to. How many more PDIs can you take on, realistically, fit them in? Because I want to max you out as quick as I possibly can, because I'm keen to get everything up and running. And I think what he said to me was about 4. You could probably squeeze in 3/4. Perfect. So what I did then was whack the budget up. And in the space of just 9 days of 2019, I sent out 24 books. So this is what happens when you ramp up the budget. You just accelerate the whole process. I mean, I seem to be spending all my day sending out books. So 24 books went out. I spent £426 in 9 days. Now, you may be thinking, whoa, how much? £426 in just 9 days? That's a bit crazy. Okay. Now, the other interesting factor is I've already explained the amount of testing and trialing that we did during 2018. And now what I'm running now, this campaign, is very different than the beast we were running back in January 2018, because this is the one that's now been optimized and tested. And this was really interesting to me because the amount of clicks I got to the website was 52 in 9 days. And I had 24 book requests. That's nigh on a 50% book ratio conversion. That is way, way up on what it was a year ago. And that is, of course, because of the testing that we've done. But it gets even more interesting. So, £50 budget for 9 days equaled 3 new trainees that signed up. That's £10,491 that have gone in the bank in the first 9 days of 2019. Now, all of a sudden, when you look at the £50 a day budget, it pales into its significance because it is the end game. I switched the ads off after 9 days because Lee told me he cannot fit any more in. So I turned them off. So in a way, I've blasted them for a short period of time. But now for the remainder of January, which is 22 days, I'll have absolutely no cost whatsoever because the campaign is now paused because I'm maxed out. If I wasn't maxed out, I would have kept it going. 4 interviews. It says 1 more on Tuesday. I'm recording this now on the Wednesday after I've got back from the event. And I did that interview yesterday and they became the 4th sign up in just 9 days of 2018. That's 4 people have actually signed up. So you can see when I go back to my own goal, my target is to sign up 2 PDIs per month. I've now signed up 4 and we've still got a week of January left. So I've doubled, even with the, with my high expectation, I've doubled my target from last year, but the results have already doubled again early in January. So hopefully that's got your head straight a little bit as to it isn't about the money that you spend. It's not about the cost. The cost is insignificant. Yes, you need to have it. You need to have the funds, but it isn't about how much you're spending. It's about how much you're bringing in. And obviously this has gone off the scale in comparison to that. So hopefully I've made myself reasonably clear on that side of things. Okay, so I'm going to end this second section here because this has really been about explaining to you how goals work, you know, what my own personal goal is, why it's so important to have something that really means something to you, something that you can achieve, and why it's also important to have a plan in place for you to actually achieve that goal. And that's really what this section's been all about. Now, in the next section, I'm going to concentrate on you. I've used myself here really as an example. In the next section, it's all going to be about you and how you can set your goals and how you're going to set your plan of action in place to actually do this. So I'll catch you in the next section.